Nick Saban.
Hello.
Hey, Nick.
Yeah.
It's 98. How are you? Listen, I was calling about my boy. I didn't know when y'all was going to have him down. The kicker from Happy Valley.
Yeah.
When were y'all planning on having him down? Coach called there last week and said that he's going to have him down there.
Well, it'd have to be the last week in July because we have a dead period now for a whole month.
Yeah, that coach was saying something about that dead period. I didn't really understand it. Last week of July sounds pretty good. We're going to Myrtle Beach there for a week in July, but we ought to be back by then. Do you know what days it'd be?
Well, I'm on vacation right now, so I'm not sure what's going on back there, and I haven't talked to the coaches. Which coach did you talk to?
The recruiter guy's been talking to him since last spring. Coach there.
Is it Coach Enos or?
Inos.
Yeah.
Yeah, Inos.
I'll talk to him about it and let him get in touch with you and make the arrangements.
I didn't know you was on vacation there, Nick. I'm sorry about that.
No, it's all right. No problem.
Were you down there in Mexico?
No, I'm coming to Lake Version.
Oh, yeah.
Georgia, North Carolina for me.
Oh, yeah. That sounds nice. We're going to go to Myrtle Beach down there in July.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, we ought to have a good time. Well, listen, that sounds good. You going to have a coach call him and let him know what day for sure we need to be down there?
Yeah, so we'll get in touch.
Okay, Nick. Hey, I appreciate you now. All right, love you. All right, bye.
All right, is it just me, or did that guy sound exactly like Matthew McConaughey? And someone give him an Oscar. Someone give Nick Saban for being such a good sport. That was surely the prank call of the century in college football. But this is the Alabama Football Report. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. You know the drill. I'm Lena Bond. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at Lena Bond Sports for everything Alabama Crimson Tide. We're going to start you guys off with some news today, and it's not the best news in the world for Alabama football. So Terrell Lewis, linebacker, he has torn his ACL, Nick Saban announced Tuesday. He also underwent a successful surgery, and his time frame for return is unknown at this time. However, whether or not Lewis even sees the field in 2018 is now the big question. So tight end Miller Forrestall suffered an ACL injury with Alabama week 3 against Colorado State and did not return to the field until spring. But with this new redshirt rule, it is interesting to think about. He could play 4 games maybe towards the end of the season and not lose a year of eligibility. Just something to kind of think about as the season progresses. But yeah, not a good look. And if you look at the Alabama linebacker depth chart right now, you have 2 returning starters. That's always good. But then you got some returners that didn't get a lot of playing time next year. And then these are the new guys coming in, whether it be from transfers or they were the recruits in the 2018 class. So linebackers looking a little slim for the Alabama Crimson Tide in 2018, and this surely did not help. So another Alabama linebacker was dismissed from the team this week as well. He got into some sort of bar altercation back in June, ended up being charged with 3rd-degree assault, and Nick Saban said no more. We are not going to have anything from that. So according to a report from the Tuscaloosa News, the charges stemmed from an incident at a Tuscaloosa bar last month when Cohen was accused of punching a 26-year-old man in the face. Now, some might argue we should have seen the writing on the wall with Cohen. He was also kicked off his high school team for poor behavior, and as a result, he did not participate in the U.S. Army All-American Bowl. And you can see the footage right here of the altercation. It's not a good look. Obviously, Nick Saban wants the best guys, the right kind of guys on his team, and Cohen surely not showing his best side, honestly, in this brawl, this bar altercation. Now, Cohen's dismissal leaves Alabama's backer depth thin and inexperienced behind projected starters Mack Wilson and Dylan Moses. So definitely expect to see players experiment at the inside linebacker position during preseason camp in the next 3 weeks. But let's get into some good news now. I'm going to round out the news, but on a positive note, there were commitments galore. And I'm going to bring up these guys and let you know that there were a lot of 4-star studs that committed to Alabama Crimson Tide since we talked last. It was a 4-star tight end, a couple of 4-star defensive players. Now, John Mckee, that's one guy I'm actually pretty excited about. He's not that big of a guy, but kind of see him being more in that slot wide receiver position. So I think he'll definitely be a good tool for the Alabama Crimson Tide offense in the seasons to come. So like I said, ending things off on a positive note, Alabama continues to roll through this recruiting cycle, being the #1 class in the nation once again. All right, guys, before we get into our rumors, I just want to thank Autolist for sponsoring the Alabama Football Report today. Looking for a new or used car? Tired of browsing a million sites? Check out Autolist.com for the largest source of inventory on the web, or you can check out their top-rated mobile app for iPhone or Android. All right, guys, that was my news, and now I know you're here for my Alabama football rumors, so let's go ahead and get into it. And the first rumor I have up on the docket for you guys today, and this was kind of one that I'm pretty excited to talk about. So Nakobe Dean, he is the #1 inside linebacker in the class of 2019. Is he feeling this Alabama football recruiting class? Well, I am giving this one 3 Bear Bryant hats. It's pretty likely. So I had to do some serious social media digging, if you will, to piece this rumor together. So after wide receiver John Mckee committed the Crimson Tide last week, Dean liked 2 tweets mentioning the wideouts commitment. In addition, Dean retweeted the 4-star tight end Billingsley commitment video after it was published this week. Now, if you would have asked me a month ago if I thought Nakobe Dean was going to be with the Alabama Crimson Tide and would ink his name to be a commitment for them, I would have given it 50-50. But now I'm saying all this social media interaction, this Alabama Crimson Tide class has so much hype around it. I'm really thinking Nakobe Dean might end up being in that Crimson Tide red next season. But I want to know from you guys, is this Alabama's best recruiting class ever? A lot of people are talking about it, and gosh, compared to where Alabama was last season, the recruiting class, compared to where they are now, it's just freaking miles apart, if you will. So go ahead and get those reactions and give me a heart for yes or a like for not yet. Second rumor I have for you guys today, and this one's kind of a crazy one. Did Najee Harris almost transfer from the program after last season? Well, I'm giving this one 3 Bear Bryant hats. It is pretty likely, and I guess thoughts of transferring isn't limited to the quarterback position this year for Alabama, because according to an article from the San Francisco Chronicle, Alabama running back Najee Harris contemplated leaving the Crimson Tide football program last year after his freshman season due to sparse playing time. But Alabama's success in developing its players into future NFL draft picks ultimately led the former 5-star recruit to return to Tuscaloosa after those thoughts. He admitted to the Chronicle that his first season at Alabama was draining, which is why he flew back home to California after the title game and discussed his future with those closest to him, including his longtime personal trainer, Marcus Maulu. And after meeting with former running backs coach Burton Burns and head coach Nick Saban, who told Harris, "You're going to be playing, quote, a lot this year," the California native will open preseason camp next month as the likely #2 behind the other Harris in the Crimson Tide's backfield. And increasing touches from last year is definitely a thing we see coming for Mr. Harris in 2018. But I do want to know from you guys, before I get to my next rumor, how many yards do you think he will rush for in 2018? I actually brought up this on my Twitter the other day. How many yards do you see Alabama running backs rushing for? And a lot of people are coming out and saying that he might actually run more than Damian Harris. So I want to know from you guys. I think it's a really interesting topic, so go ahead and get your guesses out in the comment section below. Now let's get into our third rumor of the day. Taulia Tagovailoa, Tua's little brother, he participated in the opening finals, and did he do just okay? Well, I'm giving this one 2 Bear Bryant hats. People are talking. 24/7 Sports recently released their ranking of the Elite 11 quarterbacks based off of their performance at the opening, and they ranked Taulia 8th out of 12, stating the Alabama commit did not have his best showing on Sunday. The standout has a very live arm, was able to hit some underneath throws with the timing of routes, but his accuracy was off on throws down the field, and Tagovailoa typically excels on those kinds of throws, but he just could not seem to find his touch on Sunday. However, it is worth noting the pace of the game was much faster than almost all of the players at the opening final had ever seen in high school because of these 3 simple facts. Everyone's fast, everyone is athletic, and everyone can play. And in addition, Leah did win the long throw competition with a 66-yard bomb at the Dallas Cowboys facilities in Frisco, Texas. So in the grand scheme of things, I am not sweating his performance. All right, guys, let's get into my 4th rumor of the day. A 4-star wide receiver recruit. Is he looking to get to Alabama ASAP? Well, guys, I'm going to go ahead and give this one 4 Bear Bryant hats. Roll Tide. It's my first one of the day, and I'm happy to talk about this one because this is 4-star wide receiver Cornelius Johnson. He was one of the top performers at the opening finals from start to finish the other weekend, and he picked up an offer from Alabama back in April, and he's been working with his primary recruiter, Josh Gaddis, now set up an official visit to Tuscaloosa. He cannot wait to get out there. Johnson said what's unique about Alabama is they usually have, let's say, one dominant guy, for example. It could be Calvin Ridley, it could be Amari Cooper, or Julio Jones. But there's still a lot of guys outside of those big playmakers who get some looks, which is really appealing to me as a wide receiver as it continues to develop. Now, the Tide recently landed its first commitment. I talked about him earlier, wide receiver John Mckee at the wide receiver position. Now, at 6'2", 197 pounds, Johnson could bring more size and length in the position, whereas Mckee, like I said earlier, was kind of more of a slot guy. Now, Johnson is rated the number 42 wide receiver and the 300th overall player in the country per 24/7 Sports. All right, let's get into our 5th rumor of the Alabama football report. This is one of the top running backs in the nation. 5-star. Is Alabama, quote unquote, different for him? Well, absolutely. I'm also giving this one 4 Bear Bryant hats. Roll Tide. Now, 5-star running back Trey Sanders backed off a nearly 2-long pledge to Alabama on the 1st of January. The decision to part ways didn't keep the Crimson Tide staff from backing off, however. In fact, it almost picked up. So after the portion of the 7-on-7 tournament of the opening finals, the IMG Academy product told reporters that he's in communication with the Tide staff, in particular offensive coordinator Mike Locksley, every single day. Now, the nation's #1 running back will make his 2nd visit of the summer to T-Town on July 28th, just a couple weeks away. And he said, quote, "Bama is just different. That is the reason I committed in the first place. And now I just want to get back up there and get another chance to talk to the coaches again and rebuild that relationship." For now, Sanders is targeting a mid-season decision, possibly in that October to November range. However, he did not rule out the idea of a spontaneous commitment if the time felt right. All right, guys, let's get into my last Alabama football rumor of the day. Will the Tide go undefeated in the 2018 season? If it were up to me, I'd be giving it 4 Bear Bryant hats, but I'm just giving it 3 Bear Bryant hats. We're talking about what Vegas is thinking Alabama's chances are heading into 2018. The Westgate Superbook college football odds has the regular season win total line on the Alabama football team at 11.5, and they only play 12 games, excluding the conference championship and the CFP. So the odds show that sports handicappers believe there's a strong chance that Nick Saban's squad will go undefeated during the regular season before reaching the SEC championship game and presumably the CFP. Now, if you take a look here, Alabama has not gone undefeated in the last 5 seasons. In fact, the last time the team was able to manage that feat was in 2009. So that would have been a quite huge accomplishment for the Alabama Crimson Tide, and we will have to see how they turn out later on in the season.